Lead by 13.
Welcome to another exciting episode of MPX Game Talk. That is the best of Nintendo, PlayStation, and Xbox. And we've got a lot going on today. Very shocked we're going to be talking about this. Earlier in the week, I kind of wrote this off. I didn't think it was going to happen. But what's going to lead our headlines when we get to our headlines is there is a Nintendo Direct tomorrow. Less than a week before the Switch 2 Direct, so we will get into that later. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, it finally gave a release date for the PS5. Game Informer is returning, and a couple more Nintendo news, and we will get to that. But first, Blaze, what you playing?
Well, I am very excited about this one. I am playing God of War. I'm playing the one on PlayStation 5.
4.
Or 4. Sorry. And yeah, it's freaking amazing. This is the first battle that just really showed me how cool these fight scenes are going to be. At this point, he's just called the Stranger. I think I figured out who he is, but I haven't met him again in my playthrough. It's crazy that we have a video game that is, the plot of this game is I'm Kratos taking my son to the top of a mountain to release some ashes. That is the plot. That is the main purpose of this game. Like, it's a video game about God of War. And the plot is to take ashes up a mountain. That's it. I'm sure there's going to be way more. I imagine something's going to be crazy when the ashes get to the top. But I don't know. I haven't made it to the mountain yet. You've played it. I am looking for not Athena. I can't remember the name of it, but I'm looking for a light because there's this giant bridge on the mountain that has this big black. That was such a cool scene. Sorry. This big black smoke that I can't get past. And this witch that I met is gave me a Bifrost to go to another world, another plane of existence to get this light. And I'm in the process of trying to get this light. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember every single detail. I played this when it was new. Obviously, new God of War. I was as soon as it came out, I was like, yeah, I got to go get this. I'm a huge God of War fan, and I think the new God of War formula has helped the series so much. It's such a better game, and it's you can't always say that. Sometimes they kind of tinker and do stuff, and yeah, it's probably good for modern, but then you kind of like, well, I'm nostalgic for the old way, blah blah blah. But no, they literally made God of War such a better game, and then they even expanded on that with Ragnarok, which is such a great game. I know you're not there yet, and I hope they continue this formula with this rumored Egyptian God of War that's supposedly coming next. Actually, it's kind of cool that you talked about God of War today because I believe it is God of War's 20th anniversary this year. So we're kind of expecting some kind of God of War announcement for a new game or something would be really cool to hear about, or maybe even a collection. Because if I'm not mistaken, unless you're a PlayStation Network member, and you pay for their essentially their Game Pass equivalent, I don't think you can play these. You can't buy the old God of War games on the PlayStation 5 at all. You would have to stream them through the PlayStation Network, subscription membership. So a God of War collection, or maybe even a remastered, or some kind of remastered collection would be pretty cool. The old games, but I'm just at this point looking forward to the next iteration of this type of God of War, because these games were fantastic. They just keep playing; it gets even better. This game is awesome. Have you seen the giant snake yet? I can't remember his name, but
Oh,
there's
the
like,
world serpent.
in yeah, the world serpent in the middle of the map or whatever.
I can't
I just
remember his actual, because his name is very Norse.
very hard to
um,
pronounce or something. Yeah,
it's like Jon Munter or something like that. Is the name of the world serpent? Yes. So yeah, I've seen the world serpent. He lowered the water so I could, and gave me a whole bunch of new areas to explore. Um, and yeah, I was like, am I gonna have to fight this thing? And then it turns out he's friendly, apparently. At least so far, he's friendly. Um,
yeah. Really, just a quick little tidbit. If anybody who's played the Astrobot game, there's actually a God of War level. Uh, Anybody that knows Astrobot, he kind of pulls from other PlayStation properties. And the World Serpent, or we'll just call him the World Serpent. He's in the God of War Astrobot level. It's pretty cool. But I just had to add that because that was a really fun level on a different game. But it's just kind of cool how they kind of kept that in the Astrobot game.
yeah.
But go on.
But yeah, no, but yeah, I met him. So far, this has been the main fight that I've dealt with. Um, the only This is the only time I've really fought a because I mean he's a god. I'm pretty sure. Like I said, he's just described as the stranger at this point. He was so there's a part where I'm talking to Atreus, and I do love how it took like almost a big chunk of the game before I think I ever heard Kratos actually call Atreus by his name. Because through the whole point I was at, he just calls him boy. Do this, boy. Like he's such a terrible father. Um, but uh, it wasn't until it was actually right after he shoots the boar, and I first meet the witch, and I'm searching for Atreus because he sees the boar and he runs after it, and I can't find him. I'm starting to like almost freak out, and he finally says his name, Atreus. Um, but there was a point where I believe I was in the water, and I was asking Atreus if there's any god that just cannot feel pain. And I remember in this battle, the stranger keeps talking about, keep hitting me. I can't feel it. I like, come on, make me feel something. So it seems to me that is that's the reason why Kratos was asking if there's a god that doesn't feel pain, because he's trying to figure out who this god is. And he said his name was Balder. So, and I looked it up. In Norse mythology, Balder is more of a friendly god. It seems like he's a pretty nice god. God, he's supposed to be very beautiful. I don't know if I see that in this game. Supposed to be very beautiful, but he cannot feel pain. His mother, I think his mother's Athena. Um, I could be wrong though. Athena, actually, no, wait. Freya. Athena's wrong mythology. But his mother, and I can't remember who his mother was, she prayed to have every single bit of him to be protected where he could not feel pain. But according to lore, he was not. She forgot to pray to mistletoe. So, according to Norse mythology, the mistletoe is the only thing that can hurt him, and Loki tricks, I think, his brother into shooting him with a mistletoe arrow that kills him. That's how he dies in Norse mythology. Obviously, I don't know what happens because as of right now, I have not met him in the game again, so I'm not sure what happens in this game with him. But
I'm not going to ruin anything, but I'm going to guess if he's in a God of War game, I bet Kratos has something to do with it. I mean, think about it.
I'm sure.
I mean, these games are designed for Kratos to kill gods.
Oh, I know. I'm sure
it
he
is
does.
Not a good thing to be a god in a God of War game.
Well, you got to understand that one thing I love about playing these games, God of War, Assassin's Creed, I'm fascinated by history. I'm fascinated by different cultures, mythologies from the past. I'm fascinated by Greek mythology. I'm fascinated by Norse mythology. I'm fascinated by all the different gods that people worshipped back then. So when I play these games, I like to look up the true history of these gods that they believed in. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
I tend to go above and beyond and look up because the world serpent, that's real. That's part of Norse mythology. Like almost everything you see here that has to do with gods and stuff, giants and everything, is part of their, like, they weaved all of that into God of War. It's not like they made up all this stuff. Like the world tree, the tree that they Yugersell, or I can't say these names, okay? the Norse language is very hard to pronounce on some of this. Jotunheim is an easier one. That's one I do know that I can say, but it's really hard to say a lot of these names. So just the world tree and the world serpent, those are real things from Norse mythology. Balder is a real character or a god from Norse mythology, and I'm fascinated by that stuff. And I like to Google and look up this stuff to see how similar it is and how they weaved it in. You know.
Okay, so so far I'm guessing how far into this are hours wise? What are you thinking?
I 6 hours maybe.
Okay.
I'm not real sure. I can just tell you that I just used the Bifrost to go to another world to find a light. And if you've played it, you might know what I'm talking about. I know that when I met the World Serpent and I got more areas to explore, I went into the boats and explored before I went farther into the story. So I was doing a lot of exploring there. So it's hard to say where I'm at, how far I've played, because I've been doing
but
you would messing around.
You would recommend this?
Oh, absolutely. If you want to play like a cinematic movie, it is amazing.
Okay, so that is God of War, the 2018 version on PlayStation 4. And that is what Blaze is playing. So, me, on the other hand, I finally finished Brothership, got that finished up, and been playing a couple other things. But today I want to talk about, with the hype of the Switch Nintendo Direct for the Switch One, uh, got a feeling we're going to hear about Metroid Prime 4. But we'll get into that a little bit later. But it got me to pop out Metroid Prime Remastered for the Nintendo Switch, is what I am playing. And because it's got me hyped, I'd like to, if I can, play through 1, 2, and 3. Which I have a theory, which I'll go into that theory later about how I can play 2 and 3. But I decided to go ahead and pop this one in, and so far I'm absolutely loving it. It's, if anybody's played a Metroid game, it's the progression system is finding your special abilities, and that special ability helps you get to, say, an area that you couldn't reach before. And this is just like all the Metroid games. It's just in 3D. I mean, that's what this game is. And I'm ashamed to say that I did own this game on GameCube, but I never beat it. I don't know. I never really got super into it. I wasn't as big of a Metroid fan. I mean, I'm not calling myself a huge Metroid fan, but I do enjoy all those games. I've played several Metroid games at this point, and I've never been like a huge first person shooter type of player, so I didn't really have the huge desire to play Prime, even though I did buy it on the GameCube. I think I played it for a little bit, but I didn't beat it, conquer it, none of that. So this was kind of a good chance for me to be like, you know what? I saw the trailer for Metroid Prime 4 last year, and I'm like, that looks pretty awesome. I'd like to go ahead and pick up the remastered version, and so I picked it up, and now I'm playing through it, and it's literally just like any other Metroid game, just in a 3D realm first person view. Uh, but it plays the exact same. You got to go get the morph ball. You got to go get the different suits and everything. Or you can't go into the magma area without the suit, because if you don't have the suit, it's too hot in there. Or you know what I mean. So the game has a way of, you can get to places, but you just can't progress or go further until you find these other power ups and suits. So, and I really enjoy that that's how every Metroid game that I've ever played has been like, and I've really enjoy that. So finally, sitting down and I'd prefer the 2D Metroid over this, but I do enjoy this. I've played more first person shooters now than I did back when I had a GameCube. When I had a GameCube, I kind of was like, no on first person shooters. But since then, I've played my Call of Duty games, and I've played different types of games. So, I'm a little bit more into these games a little bit more, but not, they're still not my favorite genre of game. But I would definitely recommend Metroid Prime Remastered, and it looks really good on the Switch. Um, I really hope, I'm starting to lose hope, but I really hope this is a Switch 2 game, the Metroid Prime 4. I would love to try that on Switch 2 instead of just Switch 1. But with this Nintendo Direct tomorrow, I'm starting to lose hope that it might just be a Switch 1 game. But this game looks beautiful. And yeah, I would definitely. I just did this puzzle earlier today. Oh, we done. So, but yeah, I'm not too far into it. Maybe kind of like you said, like 6 hours, something like that. I've played a little bit, but I am playing a couple other games. So, I'm kind of going back and forth. But yeah, I'm definitely enjoying this and can't wait to beat it. And hopefully, I'll have this beat before the new one gets released. So that is what I am playing, is Metroid Prime Remastered.
Yep.
Definitely recommend it for anybody who likes Metroid. Definitely would pick this one up. So
And
go ahead.
I don't have much to say about it because I was never a big Metroid fan. I've never played any of the 3D versions. Never had a huge interest to play the 3D versions. I didn't really care for the 2D versions. They were very frustrating games, if I remember right, and just never got into them.
Yeah, they're definitely a type of game that you you get lost in them a lot. When I mean lost, I don't mean like lost in this world. No, I mean like literally lost. Like you'll have all the areas open that you think you can get to, and then you have to kind of backtrack and figure out, with the new power ups I have, where was there areas I couldn't go to before. And there's definitely a frustration of you know uh yeah, like I'm kind of lost on what I need to do at this point. I've kind of got to a point where I need help. That happens in Metroid games, trust me. But I still think it's a really fun game, and I think if my advice for anybody who has never really gotten into the Metroid series, Super Metroid, it's on the Nintendo Switch Online. That is the game you should start with. If you like that game, then you'll understand Metroid a little bit more, and then you can go through and start playing some of the others. But Super Metroid is like the perfect formula. Like Metroid on NES was kind of a little clunky. It's very outdated if you try to play it now. But Super Metroid is kind of timeless, and it's just great. I will say there's a couple moves you have to learn to get to certain places. That's very frustrating because it's like the game does not hold your hand. Okay, so it doesn't do a great job of teaching you certain things that you need to know. So if you want 100% it, you might have to Google once or twice. You know what I'm saying? Because learning how to do certain moves, like how do I get there? Well, you have to do this move that you didn't even know the move existed. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's kind of hard to learn. Uh, it's kind of hard to learn how to get to places when you don't even know how to do certain moves. So I will say, it does get a little frustrating, but definitely for you, Blaze, I would definitely recommend Super Metroid. I think you'd have a really good time with that one. And if you like that, maybe move on and they have like the Game Boy Advance ones on there and everything. So
What
there is some Metroid games on the NSO for you to play, but I would start with Super Metroid on Super Nintendo.
I will say two things. One, watching this video is not really enticing me anymore. It doesn't look that entertaining to me. Number two, I hear what you're saying about Super Metroid. However, sadly, my Switch has gotten very neglected ever since WWE 2K25 came out, and then I got a PS5 or PS4. So Nintendo's not getting much love now that I have a PS4. God of War has taken over. I've been playing a little bit of Spider-Man, which has been really cool too, but it's been mostly nothing but God of War lately.
Gotcha. All right, well, that's what we are playing, and let's go ahead and move on to our headlines. Okay, so our first headline of the day is the biggest one in a long time. We got an announcement this morning on social media. I got mine on Facebook. Some people might have got theirs on Twitter or whatever. A Nintendo Direct for Switch One. Tomorrow, the 27th of March, 10 in the morning Eastern time. Obviously, if you live in a different time zone, there's other times, but 10 a.m. Eastern time is what time we're going to be watching it, and I assume we're gonna give it a try and see if we can live stream our reactions to this. But they said it's going to be 30 minutes, and they said no mention of the Switch 2. So this is all just for the Switch 1. This is the direct we talked about that we thought we were going to get in February, and we never got it. And it's very confusing to me. I never would have guessed this at this point. I was just waiting for next week for the Switch 2 Direct. I did not think we were going to get a Nintendo Switch Direct 6 days before the Switch 2 Direct. Like, never in a million years would I have thought that. But I guess it makes sense. There's nothing on the calendar from now until that Switch 2 releases. There's nothing on the calendar to release. There's no games coming out. So basically, we're all just sitting around waiting for the Switch 2. Xenoblade Chronicles X is already out. That's the last Nintendo game that released, made by Nintendo, anyhow. And tomorrow we will finally hear what more there is to play on the Switch before the Switch 2, or we've got Metroid Prime 4 is announced, but all we know is it's supposed to come out this year. We don't have a release date, so I'm really expecting a release date tomorrow for the Metroid Prime 4. unless they save it for the Switch 2 Direct and then it's a Switch 2 launch title. I don't know. But I'm guessing that's going to be talked about tomorrow. And if that's talked about, I fully expect Metroid Prime 2 and 3 might get shadow dropped, just like they did Pikmin. God bless me. Excuse me. Just like they did Pikmin 1 and 2 collection, they just kind of shadow dropped it and then they gave it a physical release later. I think they did the same actually with Metroid Prime Remastered. I think they shadow dropped it and then they gave it a physical release maybe a month later or something like that. I don't know the time frame, but I expect tomorrow to find out Metroid Prime 2 and 3 maybe not full remastered, but I think a collection of Metroid Prime 2 and 3 might be coming to the Nintendo Switch tomorrow. I'm really excited. So earlier, I said I'm going to try to play through all these games before Metroid Prime 4 comes out, and I'm hoping tomorrow is the announcement that I'll actually be able to accomplish that. Unfortunately for me, though, I'm a physical buyer, so I'm going to be probably waiting still for the physical copy, which is okay because I'm still playing through Metroid Prime 1. So as long as it gets released before Metroid Prime 4, I'll be okay. But we'll see. But that's kind of the big thing. There's also Kirby Planet Robobot that has been rumored for a long time that it's going to get a remastered Switch treatment. That was I believe, a DS or a 3DS game. So there might be some Kirby tomorrow. Maybe a Mario sports title. Maybe they'll give us Sluggers, or maybe they'll give us a basketball game. I would love to see American football, but I don't know if that's a worldwide phenomenon for them to give us, so it's hard to say. But I would definitely love to see. I don't know. I'd love to see some stuff tomorrow that I've just, maybe there's stuff that I'm not even thinking about. I've just, at this point, I've been so focused on Switch 2 event next week. It's just hard to believe we're getting a Switch 1 event tomorrow. So I'm just very curious to know what they have coming down the pipeline to hold us over until the Switch 2 comes out. And I'm very excited to hear. Do you, I mean, what do you think? You think we might hear some stuff? Do you got any ideas what we might hear?
I would love to hear a new Mario sports title because I have a blast with those.
Okay.
So that's what I'm hoping for.
Okay, well, that's the big news is the Nintendo Direct. We will be live streaming that, so join us tomorrow as we give our actual live reactions, and then I'm sure we'll stick around and talk about it later. But the next thing on the headlines list is a Microsoft-made game is coming to PlayStation 5. They gave it a release date, April 17th, and they gave this cool little trailer with Nolan North talking to whoever the voice actor that does, Indiana Jones, which is not it's not Harrison Ford in the video game, just to kind of let everybody know, obviously. But Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is releasing on PS5 April 17th, 2025. Now, I have been playing through this game, and just this style of gameplay isn't my cup of tea, but it's Indiana Jones, so I was like, I kind of want to check this out. So I've been playing it on Game Pass, and I don't know, it's better than I expected. It's kind of basic. I don't know. It's not. I don't know, but for anybody that don't know, the cool thing about this PS5 um, reveal is Nolan North is the voice of Nathan Drake on
Nathan
the
Drake.
Uncharted series, which is why it was like Nathan Drake kind of welcoming the Indiana Jones voice actor to the PlayStation, world, which I found kind of funny. I get it. Nathan Drake is kind of a modern Indiana Jones type of character, and I understand the logic and the comedy in this video. But it's just funny to me that Microsoft is like, yeah, go welcome one of our games into your PlayStation. It's one thing that they're allowing it to be on PlayStation. It's another to make this like promotional video like welcome to the PlayStation family. And I guess they didn't like go full out and say PlayStation or nothing, but that's what the video is. It's like you're in a uh high prestigious club now, it's like, and he's obviously talking about the PlayStation family and the PlayStation club. So it's just
Why,
it's kind of a cute little video announcing the release date of the
why,
Indiana Jones and the Great
why don't
Circle game.
why don't we just watch it?
Go ahead.
Nolan, buddy, I got your super urgent text.
Troy, please have a seat.
New room?
Yes. I broke in about an hour ago. We don't have much time. Since taking on the role of Indiana Jones, you're now on the cusp of being brought into a very exclusive club.
Is that
Cusp.
We have a few questions, of course.
Sure.
What makes a great adventure?
It's about being prepared. Like you'd be surprised at how often a whip comes in handy.
I doubt that. How are you going to deal with private military forces with just a whip?
Use the old,
Headbutt. I like it. Aggressive. See, I'm more of a sidearms kind of guy.
you would be
Jeans, Henley,
somehow always half tucked.
of course.
Of course. What about finding ancient artifacts?
Yes. Sold to the highest bidder.
Donated to museums.
Sold to that museum.
Going somewhere unexpected.
What is an adventure without going somewhere new? Trey, Troy, welcome to the club. Done this before.
Yeah. How many fingers did you have before?
so? That was Troy Baker.
Yeah, he's the voice of Indiana Jones in the game.
Well, you know who Troy Baker is. He's like one of the most prominent voice actors, especially in video games. He's the voice of Joel in The Last of Us.
Oh, is he?
Yes. So both Nolan North and Troy Baker are huge video game voice actors. Like some of your most prominent, like you mentioned, Nathan Drake. That's Nolan North, but Joel is voiced by Troy Baker. Troy Baker has also voiced Batman and Joker, and I'm not sure what exactly, but he's voiced both of them. They're both very prominent voice actors, especially in video games. So that makes that video kind of even cooler.
Yeah, and then if you noticed at the end, they open the box and it's that kind of that PlayStation Blue. You know what I mean? So it's like there was a lot of insinuations of you're joining the PlayStation Club without saying it. So it makes me wonder how much Microsoft was like, I mean, you can do your commercial, but you know what I mean? Like there was definitely a line that they weren't allowed to cross, but they insinuated, if you kind of noticed in the commercial. They never quite said what the club was. And then when he opens the box, it's that PlayStation blue, that glowing blue that kind of matches PlayStation. I just thought it was kind of a clever commercial. I thought it was cute. And it just kind of a nice way to say, hey, this game's coming to PlayStation. Is kind of a little funny that they added, because think about it. I mean, Nathan Drake essentially was a video game version of, more modernized of Indiana Jones. I mean, that's kind of what Nathan Drake and the Uncharted games are. I
looked at Uncharted as Uncharted was what Tomb Raider wanted to be, and then Tomb Raider became after Uncharted came out. The new Tomb Raiders are great because they're pretty much carbon copies of the Uncharted games. But I actually hated the old Tomb Raider games. Until the new ones came out, I didn't like Tomb Raider that much.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was never a fan of the original games on PlayStation. It wasn't until they made the new when they rebooted the series.
Yeah.
Those are amazing.
Yeah, and I don't think I've played all of them. I think they made 3 of them.
I've played the first two. I haven't played
I beat the
Shadows.
first one. I beat the first one, and I think I started the second one. And for whatever reason, to be honest, I think I was playing it on Game Pass. They might have took it off. I don't know if it's back on there or something. But I actually think that's why I never finished part 2, because I think it was one of those where it was on there and then they took it off, and you know what I mean? How some games kind of disappear. But the first one I think I bought like a Black Friday sale. I was like, oh yeah, I'll check it out, and I played it and loved it and beat it 100% of it. And then I just, for whatever reason, never bought the other. Like I think they made 2 more after that.
They did. I beat the first 2.
Kind of makes me think maybe I should go back and replay those games, because they were. I mean, if you like Uncharted, they were great games.
They were.
You were just Laura Croft instead of Nathan Drake, but they were very fun games. But moving on, the next bit of news is anybody that knows 7 months ago that's probably been into a GameStop knows that Game Informer closed down. Well, it turns out a new company has swooped in and bought Game Informer, and they are bringing them back. So, and they, from my understanding, they're hiring all of the old employees and everything. But yeah, Game Informer is being resurrected after being shut down 7 months ago. So if anybody who likes their video games in a magazine, which I assume there's probably a digital version as well.
There was before.
Yeah. So, but yeah, we'll see how that goes. But yeah, my biggest question is, with this new company swooping in and buying them, is this still going to be something you're going to get with your pro membership at GameStop, or are they no longer going to be associated with GameStop? You know what I mean? It's kind of that's kind of what I'm wondering. Yeah, because I'm a pro member at GameStop, and it kind of makes me wonder: am I going to start getting Game Informer magazines again? Just I guess more questions than answers, but it was announced that Game Informer is being resurrected and they are coming back. So yay, Game Informer. I used to, get the magazines from GameStop all the time. I'm sure I got like a shoebox stack of them somewhere. Because I used to get those every month. But unfortunately, we receive our news in kind of a very different way now. And I don't think I've picked up a gaming magazine in years. It's just not the way we get our information anymore. We get like that Nintendo Direct got announced on social media, and then we knew it right away. There was no magazine telling us about that. So next thing is a couple more Nintendo news before we move on to our rankings. The Nintendo Museum in Kyoto, they are selling now. Well, I don't know if they've started yet, but they announced they're going to be selling these keychains with console jingles. So it's like the startup sound of all your favorite Nintendo systems, and they're exclusive to the Nintendo Museum. And I thought I'd throw that in our headlines because, honestly, if any of our listeners go to Kyoto and go to the museum, I mean, bring me home some Nintendo Museum keychains. That would be freaking awesome. The funny thing, though, is they're just kind of blocks with pictures on them. And the funny thing about that is, to be honest, I think the only keychain that really kind of makes sense for it to be just a square block is the GameCube. So I would love to get the GameCube one with the startup sound and everything. But yeah, I just think it's really cool. I think I've seen online they've got like exclusive keychains that are shaped like controllers of all the systems and everything. And I don't know. One of these days I need to make it to Kyoto, Japan, and I would love to go to this museum. It just looks like a really cool place to visit.
Yeah.
And then our last bit of news is starting tomorrow, the Seattle Mariners are going to be wearing Nintendo patches on their jerseys. For the home jerseys, they'll be wearing, as you can see in the picture here, Nintendo patches with the Nintendo logo. But when they are away, guess what? They're going to be wearing Nintendo Switch 2 patches. So Nintendo Switch 2 advertisements is officially going to begin whenever the Mariners' first away game is, which I'm not a Mariners fan. I'm not a huge baseball guy. I mean, I root for our Cleveland Indians and everything, but
Guardians.
They're the Guardians. Well, anyhow, I'm just not like, so I don't know their schedule, but I assume we would probably see one of these away patches before the Switch 2 to Direct next week. But yeah, the Switch 2 advertisement is getting started in baseball. So I just thought that was kind of really, really cool that the Seattle Mariners are going to be doing this. I think that's really neat. So
I do like to watch baseball here and there. Unfortunately, my only problem with baseball, I love baseball. My problem with baseball is there's too many games. I have the same issue with basketball, and baseball's double the games of basketball, and I think basketball has too many games. That's why I love football. Football is 1 week, 1 week, or it's multiple days in the week, but it's all different teams. But I just have to focus on my team at least once a week. I can watch it. Mind you, I'm watching all the games almost that I can, but baseball just has so many games. But I do love a good baseball game, and I'm an Ohio guy. I'm a homer. But baseball is the easiest place to root for both Cincinnati and Cleveland because they're in opposite conferences. And if I get a World Series with the Guardians and the Reds, I'm going to be happy either way. That would be amazing.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I'm in the same boat. I don't follow baseball through. I mean, I kind of do follow. I just don't watch a lot of the games during the regular season. I do that same thing with the Cavaliers and the basketball team. It's the exact same situation where I just don't watch all the games. But I do watch them when they make the playoffs. Like the Cavs, they're about to start the playoffs, and they are one of the best teams, if not the best team in the league right now.
Oh, they've been great this year.
So yeah, I will definitely be following them in the playoffs, and I really, really hope they go far. But it's the same with the baseball. If they start showing they're going to make it to the playoffs, or if games kind of really matter leading up to the playoffs, then it's like, oh, I got to see if they're going to win this game because they have a chance to get number 1 seed, or they have a chance to be bumped out of the playoffs, stuff like that. So when games like that happen, that's when I kind of more, focus on the baseball games. Same with the basketball games, but NFL games where I'm watching every week. It's just the way we are with our sports. But yeah, I just think that's really cool. I kind of wish I was a Seattle fan. I would love to get. I mean, I guess I don't have to be a Seattle fan. I wonder if they're going to sell these, or if it's only for the players that are on the field. Because if I could buy one of these with the Nintendo patch on it, I might consider buying a Seattle Mariners jersey. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I just think that's really, really neat. I'll have to go to the shop, the MLB shop, and see if it's something that the fans can kind of participate in. If there's some kind of Seattle / Nintendo promo gear that you can buy for Seattle. I'll have to check that out. That's kind of neat. But that's going to do it. That's going to do it for our headlines today. So only thing we got left to do is our rankings. So let's go ahead and do that now. So with the Switch 2 announcement only a week away, we figured it would be very appropriate to go back and rank launch lineups of other systems in the past. And let's see, what reigns supreme on launch lineup. And in my opinion, a good launch lineup means that the games that came out on launch day, number one, kind of made you want to buy that system. So to me, multi-platform games are less important. It's really about the exclusives. But the multi-platforms help, with the amount of games you can play on day one. But also, it's just, how did these games hold up? Like, I know we had this discussion while we were making our rankings. you really liked the Wii lineup, and we was on you. Now we did not make our top 5, but it was one of those situations where it was like you liked the Wii lineup, and then I kind of had to remind you and point to you, how well did those games really hold up? I mean, that was kind of a product of their time, all the motion gaming and everything. Yeah, there was Twilight Princess, and yeah, Wii Sports blew it up for everybody, but there's no Wii Sports anymore. I mean, it just kind of, I don't know. But that was kind of what went in my mindset of making this list was, like, how well do these games hold up? And how many of these games really made you say, "Oh, I got to buy this system day one"? So let's start our rankings with number 5, the original Xbox. So the original Xbox was super special. It was, because Microsoft was a newcomer to the game, and I mean, Halo just blew the video game world by storm. I mean, it was a huge, huge success. But the Xbox launched in North America November 15th, 2001. They had games like 4x4 Evo 2, Air Force Delta Storm, Arctic Thunder, Cell Damage. I remember that game. Dark Summit, Dead or Alive 3, which was a great fighting game. I played that for hours. Fusion Frenzy. I'm sure everybody remembers Fusion Frenzy, definitely with the box art where the guys were in like the big giant balls. I don't know if you remember that.
I remember it. I don't remember liking it much.
Yeah, but I remember playing it when it launched, because the crazy thing about the Xbox is a lot of these games were exclusive. Like, they had a lot of exclusive games at launch because, this was Microsoft's first jump into the gaming consoles, and they really had to, they had to give people a lot of, reason. Why do you want to buy this? You've already got a PlayStation. So why would you need to buy this? And they just came out with the bangers. Halo Combat Evolved, Mad Dash Racing. Obviously, you had your Madden NFL 2002, NASCAR Heat 2002, NASCAR Thunder 2002, NHL Hits 2002, Oddsworld Munch's Odyssey. I remember that game. That game was really good. Project Gotham Racing. It was a pretty darn good racing game. Shrek. Okay, we got Shrek. Test Drive Off Road Wide Open. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2X. I mean, who didn't love Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2? I mean, my gosh, Tony Hawk, I love those games. Transworld Surf. That was the North American launch titles for the Xbox. And that was just a great lineup of games to just introduce people into the world of Xbox. And obviously, Halo just became massive. I'm trying to remember. Did they have Xbox Live right out of the box, or was that more Halo 2?
I think it became bigger at Halo 2, but I believe because so Dreamcast is the first system to really utilize internet, but it wasn't very good, I guess. So Xbox was a year later after Dreamcast. So yeah, they started the internet essentially. I mean, I don't know if they started it. PlayStation 2, I think, had it too. And I don't
Breaking news here: Sega created the internet.
Not created, but it was the first console to utilize the internet. Super Nintendo 64 did that. You couldn't go online with those. Dreamcast was the first system to go online. That's what I mean. The PS2 and I believe PS2. I can't remember if PS2 or Xbox came out first. I'm thinking PS2 came out first. But yeah, Xbox Live. You could definitely get on Xbox Live with Xbox.
Okay. So that is our number 5 ranking is the original Xbox. The funny thing is we were going through these launch lineups, and just there's a lot of stinkers. Like I remember buying some of these systems at launch, but my goodness, like the actual launch lineup of some of these systems just didn't hold up very well. There wasn't just there just wasn't a lot of great games. Like if you go back and look, you just it's like, would you ever play that again after say all these other games released? And it's just kind of funny, just going down memory lane and seeing some of these. But our number 4 is my favorite console of all time, and that is the Super Nintendo. The Super Nintendo had one of the greatest games ever made, Super Mario World, had F-Zero and Pilot Wings, which showed off the Mode 7 effects that the Super Nintendo did, that other, Sega couldn't do and other systems didn't do. So it really showed off, hey, this is what we can do. I remember that Mode 7 effect being in a lot of different games. I don't know if you remember playing Contra 3, the Alien Wars with me. They used that effect, and then like those top-down levels and everything was really cool. Then you had Gradius 3, and then SimCity, which was a huge hit. And we used to play SimCity all the time, although I think I like Sim Ant a little bit better, but we did. We used to play SimCity all the time, and that was a launch title for the Super Nintendo.
You know what's crazy is I just was talking to someone about SimAnt. I love SimAnt, but I was just talking to him because apparently there's this new game. I think he was playing it on PC. There's a new game where you get to play as an ant, and it was very reminiscent of SimAnt, but in today's graphics, and like the ants look freaking real. All the bugs looked real, but you get to burrow holes and you got to do all the things you did on SimAnt, except for it was a new title that it was. I saw him playing it and I'm like, dude, this reminds me of SimAnt, and I used to love that game.
Yeah, it was just one of those moment in time games. I don't know if I'd ever sit and play. I'm not into the like the Sims and Animal Crossing and those style of games. I'm not even into them. But for some reason on the Super Nintendo, and maybe it's just because we didn't have as much options of style of games, I suppose, and it was kind of fresh and new. I think that might have had something to do with it. But yeah, I remember we used to play SimAnt and SimCity for hours. Yeah, it's just kind of crazy how those kind of games have somewhat been lost in time, which they've expanded. Like I said, and, that's kind of where we get Roller Coaster Tycoon and Sims, the Sims and all them type of games. But yeah, I remember playing those. But yeah, the number 3 game system on our launch lineup rankings is the original Nintendo Entertainment System. Now, the thing about the Nintendo Entertainment System is, before I name off all these games, is this was after Atari kind of like soured the market, and a lot of people didn't really trust video games at that point. So Nintendo really had to do some new type of way of marketing and everything to get this system out there. But every single game, and I don't think we'll ever see this ever again because third-party support is so important to the video game industry now. Every single game was a Nintendo title. Like, think about this. Every single game. So this launched in North America October 18th, 1985. And every single one of these was a Nintendo game. And you've probably played almost all of them. 10-yard fight football game. I remember playing that. Remember all the players kind of up, and they were all together. I don't know if you remember playing that football game. Obviously, it's not as good as Tecmo Bowl, but yeah, 10-yard fight. Not. Baseball. Just, that's what it was called. Baseball. Clue Land. Duck Hunt, which is amazing, and it's actually one of those games that's kind of, I don't think can really be played on modern televisions. Nintendo, we've got Motion Center on the Switch. Why do we not have Duck Hunt yet? Why? How is it that hard to figure out to give us Duck Hunt? I don't know why they won't re-release this game. It's just crazy. I mean, they're playable characters. The dog and the duck is playable characters on Smash Brothers. They have made an amiibo. Why do we not have this playable on Nintendo Switch Online? Like, it's just kind of blows my mind.
We don't have a light gun.
Yeah, but I mean, come on. Can't you figure that out? Like, change the technology to fit that game so we can play Duck Hunt? It's just crazy to me that we do not have a modern Duck Hunt or any way to play. And I don't even think even if you hook your Nintendo up, unless you have an old tube television, if I understand it correctly, I don't even think the light gun works on like a modern flat screen television. So yeah.
I have a theory, and I don't think you're going to like it. I have a theory. The reason we don't have a light gun and we don't have that anymore is because in today's world, we don't want to give kids guns. I think that's just kind of a
Yeah. Well, but okay, let's just point the Joy-Con at the TV. I don't care. Give us a way to play it. But yeah, that might have something to do with it.
It's just a theory. I don't know, but I don't think they've made a gaming gun for any system in quite some time.
I guess I never even thought about it. I mean, they used to make those all the time. Heck, even the Wii had gun attachments that you stuck the Wiimote into. So, yeah, I'm guessing maybe there might be some logic to that. Okay, so moving on, the next game, Excitebike. I mean, who hasn't played Excitebike? And then another game that's just simply called Golf. And on the cover of Golf is Mario. Even so, that could somewhat technically be considered the first ever Mario sports title in a sense, if you really want to think about it. Gyromite. I've never played Gyromite.
I've never heard of Gyromite.
Gyromite, Hogan's Alley, another gun game. Ice Climber. Come on. These are great games. Kung Fu. I mean, we played Kung Fu for hours. Pinball. Stack Up. Of course, what you're seeing on the screen here, one of the greatest of all time, Super Mario Brothers. Came right there at launch. Tennis. Wild Gunman, and Wrecking Crew. I mean, all these are Nintendo-made games, and they were all launch titles. It's just blows my mind that they actually released a system and they took care of all the launch titles. Like, could you imagine if they just threw out 20 Nintendo-made games on day one of Switch 2? That would just that's never going to happen again. I mean, we might get lucky to get 3 Nintendo-made games at launch. I think we're going to get Mario Kart. I think we're going to get, let's see here. I think we'll get Mario Kart. We'll get some kind of gimmicky game, kind of like 1-2 Switch or Wii Sports, Nintendo Land, that type of game. And then I thought Metroid Prime 4 would be a launch title. Maybe it's not. Maybe we're going to get 3D Mario at launch, but I got a hard time believing they're giving us Mario Kart and 3D Mario all the same day. I think they're going to save that for the holidays. But I don't know. But back then, we got literally all these Nintendo-made games for the Nintendo Entertainment System, and it's just awesome. But that is the number 3 of all time. The next one is kind of a funny one on our list, because as for launch, the launch was just full of great, great games, but the system itself failed within like a year or two of launching, which is crazy because we had a Dreamcast and we absolutely loved our Dreamcast. So it's just kind of crazy that this the Sega Dreamcast is our number 2 launch, and I'm going to go through this list of the 19 launch titles for the Sega Dreamcast. Mortal Kombat Gold might not be the best Mortal Kombat in the series, but you got a Mortal Kombat game. TNN Motorsports Hardcore Heat. Okay, well maybe I see why it failed. Monaco Grand Prix. Yeah, this ain't looking good. But here we go. NFL Blitz 2000. Air Force Delta. Here's a banger. Ready to Rumble Boxing. It was like a more of a modern Punch Out, and it was like a cartoony, uh, you know, uh, punching game or a boxing game, and we played that thing for hours. I remember that one.
It was a blast.
Yeah, Ready to Rumble was a great, fun game. I'm surprised they've never kept that series going or brought a modern version of that. But Ready to Rumble, it was amazing. Expendable. You've got, come on, this one. Power Stone. How do we not have
Awesome
Power
game.
Stone? Matter of fact, I believe Capcom is coming out with a new fighting collection. I would have to, I didn't think about this before the show. I'd have to do my research to see when it comes out, but I'm pretty positive they're adding Power Stone 1 and 2 to the next Capcom fighting collection they're releasing. So there you go.
That's awesome.
So they're finally going to give us a modern way to play Power Stone, which we played a lot of Power Stone. Sonic Adventure, which you're sitting here, and that was like Sonic's. I guess it wasn't his first jump into 3D, but I think it was his first good jump into 3D.
Sonic CD had a 3D Sonic, but it wasn't this.
Yeah. So Sonic Adventure was an amazing launch title game. You had Arrow Wings. You had Pen Trilcellion. I don't know what that one. I've never heard of that one. Tokyo Extreme Racer. You had Kart Flag to Flag. Now, here we go. This started the 2K sports revolution. Sega Sports NFL 2K. Come on. I mean, it eventually became one of them. 2K5, in my opinion, still one of the greatest football games ever made. And it's a shame that Madden got exclusivity and we don't get NFL games by 2K. They're so good. Look, they knew what they were doing by getting that exclusive license, because look at it. You have NBA 2K has dominated, and EA don't even make an NBA game anymore. Because they
stopped
just
making
couldn't.
live.
They stopped making it. Then they tried to make it again, and then I think it failed again. So I don't think they make it at all anymore. So I don't think EA makes a basketball game at all. So pretty much they dominated the basketball scene. They could have dominated the football scene if it wasn't for Madden. Getting their exclusive rights with the NFL. It's such a shame, because the 2K games are phenomenal, and they started on the Dreamcast. I remember this one, Hydro Thunder. I remember playing that on the Dreamcast, and the and we were talking about gun games. How about House of Dead 2? That was a fantastic arcade game. They ported it to the Dreamcast.
I believe I just beat that game.
House of Dead 2, for real?
A friend of mine came over and he brought over it was on Xbox, I believe, and he had it on the Xbox. It was a remastered version.
Oh, be darned.
And he wanted the achievements, he wanted to beat it. So we went through and we beat the whole game in a night.
Yeah, I bet it's not that long of a game. I mean, it's an arcade shooter.
It's not.
So then you've got Soul Calibur. I mean, that was a huge fighting game, and I think they still make Soul Calibur games today.
I don't know. I'm not sure when the last Soul Calibur game was.
So it might be. Well, I remember eventually some Soul Calibur started, adding different characters from, like, there's a Soul Calibur with Link from Legend of Zelda on Nintendo. There is a Soul Calibur with Spawn that I think was an Xbox exclusive. But yeah, they had their own little characters in Soul Calibur games based off the system you bought it from, which is, for collectors, that's a great idea. Like, because you're going to get people to buy that same game on 3 different systems to get all the different characters. You know what I mean? It was just
Yeah.
kind of a really that was genius marketing. Then you have Trick Style, and then you had Blue Stinger. So yeah, the Dreamcast had tons of great games at launch.
So the last Soul Calibur game was Soul Calibur 6 in 2018.
Oh, so it's been a little while.
We're talking.
Well, they held on for a while. I mean, we're talking Dreamcast released in 2000, and Soul Calibur last game was 2018. I mean, he had 18 years of making games even after the system died. But yeah. That was just the Dreamcast was a blast, and obviously they weren't launch titles, but my gosh, you had the online. It was kind of our first jump into online gaming. I remember playing Phantasy Star Online for hours on the online server. But yeah, it's a shame that the Dreamcast failed. It was such a good system. I know their controller was a little wonky, weird. It was just kind of a weird style controller, which I'm sure did not help them. But other than that, I mean, their games were just amazing. They just got overshadowed, I think, by the PlayStation 2 and even the Nintendo GameCube at the time.
It came out a year before all the next gen systems, and yeah, it just kind of it came out too early. I think they should have waited. Maybe Sega would still be around. It's sad because I do love me some Sega.
Yeah. So, but the death of Sega gave us, Sonic and Smash Brothers and Sonic and Mario at the Olympic Games.
True.
And
we
things
still get
things that we
games.
never would have had before. We still get Sonic. I mean, Sega's still around. They just don't make hardware anymore. Okay, so the Sega Dreamcast is our number 2 greatest launch lineup of all time. Our number 1 is surprisingly pretty modern, and to be honest, it's pretty topical since we've got the Direct coming up. Is the Nintendo Switch? The Nintendo Switch just came out of the gate swinging after the Wii U failure, with games like 1-2 Switch, which I mean, it was a great party game. It wasn't. I don't want to say it was a great game, but it was great for the launch, where people were able to really utilize that multiplayer on the Switch. And then, of course, they had a Just Dance 2017, of course. But then you see it on the screen. Probably one of the greatest, if not the greatest game of all time. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild was one of the greatest launch games that really helped push not only the system, but Legend of Zelda. I think Legend of Zelda was more of a, I don't know, a certain type of fan played Legend of Zelda. I know Mario was mainstream, but I don't know if Zelda was really mainstream until this game came out. Like, do you understand what I'm trying to say here? Like, Zelda was popular, but I think this just opened up such a huge popularity for Zelda. This game was so well received and so great, and it just helped really make that system a success. And even though it's a launch game, 8 years later, this game is still very playable, very exciting. I've beat it twice now. I've 100%ed it twice now because I absolutely love this game. But yeah.
So I don't know if I fully agree with what you're saying, because I don't know. Zelda has been pretty popular. Link to the Past is considered one of the greatest games of all time. Not to mention the 64 Zelda games. Ocarina of Time is well loved by many, many people. I feel like Zelda is a game that it may not be the most widespread loved game, but the people that love it, it's got a hardcore fan base.
Well, I agree with that, but that's my point. Is there's like a certain fan that likes Zelda games, where I think Breath of the Wild being a launch title for the Switch, just I think skyrocketed it, if that makes sense.
I don't know.
To the fans that weren't into this type of game, this was the banger game to have on the Switch, and people really bought the Switch, and I think a lot of people played this that may have never picked up a Zelda game before. But yeah, Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild was a launch title for the Nintendo Switch. You've got Skylanders Imaginators, which was that toy to life type of game. You had all those at that time that was super popular. This one I remember I bought at launch and we played it the night the Switch came out. Super Bomberman R, which the kids still asked to pop that in and play some multiplayer Bomberman. We just played it not too long ago. So that was a really fun launch title. I Am Setsuna. We had now I remember this one. It was like a co-op puzzle game, Snipper Clips. Came out.
That.
Yep, Snipper Clips came out the night of launch, and I think it was only like a $20 game. But yeah, Snipper Clips was a really fun co-op puzzle game. But that was really fun. And then Shovel Knight Treasure Trove and Shovel Knight Spectre of Torment, and then Fast RMX. But yeah, that was your launch lineup for the Nintendo Switch. And it's going to be hard to top that. I'm really curious what they're going to do with the Switch 2, because I don't think Legend of Zelda is going to be there. You're going to have a Mario Kart game, which I think a lot of people will adore. But it just, really curious what's going to happen with this launch lineup. It could be really special as long as they do it right. Could you imagine a Mario Kart and a 3D Mario in the same day at launch? I don't think they'll do it, but my goodness, that would probably top our list if we ever go back and do these rankings again. If you get 3D Mario and Mario Kart on the same day. But I think you're going to get Mario Kart. I thought you were going to get Metroid Prime 4. Now I'm not so sure. So who knows? I don't know what they're cooking. I guess we have 6 more days to figure that out. But that is our number one ranked launch lineup of all time. So what do you think?
I love that Dreamcast lineup. Just Dreamcast was my number one. Switch was your number one. We kind of just flip-flopped a little bit there. But yeah, Dreamcast had such a great lineup. Switch is I like the Switch lineup, but mostly because of Zelda. And I did enjoy Bomberman. My kids enjoyed playing that with me as well. Snipper Clips, I forgot about, but I did own that too. I still own that.
Yeah, it was a great time. I remember that night very well, standing at Best Buy, picking up the Switches, and then coming home and just playing all night long. It was freaking great. Hope to do it again here in a couple months when Switch 2 comes out. It should be a good time. Hopefully I can snag me one. But we'll see. We'll find out here in six days if I can get one pre-ordered or what's going on there. But that's going to do it for us. Join us tomorrow morning as we are going to live stream the Nintendo Switch Direct. That should be a good time, 10 a.m. Eastern. And that's going to be game over for now. I'm Rage.
And I'm Blaze, but one more thing. If you would like to contact me, you can go to Dragon Blazer Productions on Facebook, the Instagram, the YouTube, the TikTok. I also have Dragon Blazer Productions at gmail.com if you'd like to email us. If you want to give us your opinions on what your top 10 list of launch titles are, give us your opinions. Tell us if we're wrong. Tell us if you agree. You can also find me at Dragon Blazer Pro on Twitter. How about you?
Don't come looking for me. Okay, so I am Rage, and that is going to be game over for now.
press start on the next game. Hopefully tomorrow morning.
Okay. Thanks for watching.